And hello, everyone, and welcome to the Copyright 2.0 show, episode number 334. I'm Jonathan Bailey from the site Plagiarism Today, which can be found at plagiarismtoday.com. And joining me, as usual, the co-host of the most, the man I feel reasonably sure is joining me in taking part of mandatory fun. It is Patrick O'Keefe of the iFroggy Network at iFroggy.com. Patrick, how have you been?
I've been pretty good. How are you?
Doing good. Yes. You know, I made a quip there about Weird Al Yankovic's latest album debuted yesterday, and of course he's been dropping video bombs on us for a little while now. He dropped his third one today, third of 8.
Yeah, 8 days in a row. It's safe to say he's going to be trending on Facebook for at least 8 days.
Yeah, exactly. No, I mean I can't fathom anything less than that. 8 videos in 8 days. And every single one of them has been trending on Facebook and Twitter and elsewhere. The amount of exposure on social media this is getting is incredible. And what I've noticed and what's interesting is he's not releasing these himself. Did you notice that?
He's partnering with outlets to get their traffic.
Get their traffic and get these videos made. The Nerdist did one so far. One, I think, the word crime.
I don't know if are they now. Have you read that they're actually involved in the production of it, or they just? I mean.
Yes, okay. I read that.
Okay.
He went to them for financial backing because his record label was not able to afford him enough to do what he wanted.
Oh, interesting.
So he partnered with The Nerdist, College Humor, Funny or Die, Vivo, and others to make the videos. And 8 videos, 8 days. He's already done. The first one was Tacky, then he did Word Crimes, and today posted Foil, the parody/cover of Royals by Lorde. So...
Yeah.
He is on a monster roll. I got mine pre-order from Amazon.
Yes, Sean got the same. I actually pre-ordered it from Walmart, so mine isn't here yet. The reason I did that is because they had a promotion where you get a signed booklet in addition to the album. So I thought for about the same price, I'll just get another Weird Al autograph, and if I have to wait a day or two. I mean, it'll be here. It'll be here either today or tomorrow, I think. Maybe probably tomorrow now. But I've listened to it. Listened to some with Sean. I've listened to so far Handy, Foil, Word Crimes. Now that's what I call Polka. I've listened to about half the album. So far, I think my favorite is. I know what your favorite is. I'm pretty sure, but I think my favorite is Tacky. I think at the moment. Handy, I liked it, but Fancy is such a hot record, such a big hit, and Happy was big too. I mean, I don't know. I liked his treatment of Tacky. I'm Happy. I thought that was really good, and I liked the video.
Well, what do you think is my favorite then? What's your guess?
I think your favorite. Well, of course, this is just judging from outside social media-y stuff. I think your favorite's Word Crimes.
Yeah, you're right. It totally is.
Okay.
Yeah, I like the fact Blurred Lines is one of those songs I've always had really mixed feelings about. It is infectious, it is catchy, but the lyrics seem kind of make me uncomfortable in places. The message, in some ways, makes it more than a little uncomfortable. So Weird Al basically took it and all the catchiness, but turned it into a great grammar lesson that now I can send to other people. And I think in a comment on Facebook, I said that it was like he basically weaponized the song for good. It was like turning a coal power plant around so that it spews unicorn farts and rainbows rather than billowing ash. So I like that about it. It's a great song, great video for it too, by the way. So excellent CD.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it. I mean, Weird Al always a fun listen. Always a fun listen.
While we're on the subject here, I have to give some props to Amazon. I know this is like the Amazon prop show sometimes, but this time around. They did 2 things that were really awesome. I pre-ordered the album eons, but it seems like eons ago now. It was weeks ago, many weeks ago. So long ago, I had forgotten the album was coming out on the day it did.
Yeah.
If it hadn't been for the videos, I would have completely missed the release date. Just been, CD. Totally would have missed it. But the Sunday prior to its release, I got on and I ordered. I realized I had a little extra cash, and I needed a new graphics card for my big Windows gaming PC downstairs.
Oh, Crystal's starting to get the edge on you.
Yeah. No, it's just we have two We had up until this. We had 2 identical gaming PCs. But mine, for some reason, one of the graphics cards stopped working. So I'm left with one hamstrung graphics card. And I put it off and just dealt with it for at least 4 years now. And just finally.
So is yours more powerful now?
Yes, significantly.
Advantage Jonathan.
Exactly. I'm back in, but of course we're getting hers next month, so that advantage will not last long at all.
Take advantage of that month.
But I love the fact that even though I'd ordered them like a month apart,
yep.
at least, they shipped in the exact same box. So I got just one package, which I thought was interesting. And the other thing that I found was fascinating was when I had ordered the CD, the price was higher than it was eventually when it was released.
Yep.
So I was given a credit on my account for about $2.
Amazon.
That's Amazon.
Price match, pre-order price match guarantee. I took advantage of that with the Retron 5. We talked about that because I got it for $87 somehow. Somehow I got it for $87 when the original retail was $99 and it was released at retail at $139. But at some point the price dropped and Amazon honored it somehow. I got it for $87. About what? 90, 10, what, $50, $60 off of the initial retail. So that was excellent. Amazon appears to be testing a new subscription book service. I don't know if you heard about that today.
Yeah, it's sort of a Spotify for books from the way it's being pitched.
Yeah. Pick your comparable brand. Spotify, Netflix for books. There's been some entries into that market. Oyster. Script has transitioned. Also, Entitle is similar, but you actually just get 2 books a month. If Amazon gets into this, as much as I like talking to Oyster and Entitle, and their support people were nice, and I got my books on there, and I have an acquaintance over at Script. I mean, it's game over, right? If Amazon does this right, it's hard because this isn't like Amazon getting into streaming music, right? This isn't like Prime Music. It's not like Amazon getting into streaming video. There's not this massive market leader in this space already. This is a baby. This space is a baby. So if Amazon gets into it, they will be off the bat the dominating party in the space because of their stranglehold in the publishing industry. Even with Hachette spreading evil, false rumors about, and I'm just kidding, about Amazon, they will be the market leader. So I think that's interesting. And they're not tied into Prime, which is also interesting, which I think makes sense. Also, charging $9.99 a month. For it additionally, but you never know. Long term, maybe it becomes a part of Prime, or
maybe Prime Plus or something will include it.
Yeah.
There could be something else there. Yeah, no, I agree. It's kind of like the digital music download scene before Apple stepped in.
Right.
It was like, hey, we got all these fledgling companies, and here comes Apple, and just squashes everything like a giant gorilla. That's how I would be feeling right now as Oyster, the fly underneath the gorilla's fist.
Yeah.
That's the feeling.
Yeah, it's tough.
It's tough, and I think Amazon has the clout and the power, and most importantly, I think the install base with its Kindle to do it and to make it happen, to make it really work. It would be interesting to see which Kindles, if not all, it is available on, though.
Yeah,
obviously the Kindle Fire, but some of the older Kindles may not be able to do it, or they may not be able to do it in such a neat, pretty way.
I'm not sure if they have with the the Kindle, what's it called? The they got the lending library, right?
Yeah.
I wonder what, because I mean that's essentially a very highly stripped down version of it. So I just wonder what Kindles work with the lending library, if they've been able to get all of the all the old Kindles. But it's a good point. And I think they'll probably work to have as many installed base as they possibly can be compatible with it.
Yeah, exactly. They'd be smart to at the very least. They'd be very wise. But yeah, no. So Amazon earning some props for me this week. Impressed me both with their intelligent packaging and presentation, and also with their price match guarantee. Like I said, I think it's about $2 off as a result of it. So there you go. I would have happily paid. I would have happily paid $12 for this CD. Instead, I only paid $10. There you go.
Very nice.
Very, very nice. So yeah, all in all, a pretty good week for fans of Weird Al and graphics cards around here.
Oh, yeah, good job. Good week.
Anything exciting going on for you?
No, never.
Yeah, it's a dull week. Other than of course jamming out to all the new Weird Al.
Yeah, I mean my youngest brother turned 16. this
Oh,
last
congratulations!
week. So,
Happy birthday!
That's a big birthday and was exciting and had a great birthday. So yeah, thank you. And
is he getting his license already, or is he
not
chilling?
at this very second. I don't know. He might wait a little while, but he might get it. I don't know. I waited a little while to get it.
Yeah.
I didn't get it at 16. I got it later. You know.
Well, I mean,
didn't really need it, and I don't. It's just a matter of.
That's really become more normal these days. I think a lot of it is that the internet and the fact that we can communicate so much, via the interwebs and our phones, means the need for every 16-year-old to run out and get their license immediately is faded a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, plus, obviously insurance.
Obviously, and a million other things, yeah.
Maturity and so many different. He's very mature for his age, but still, maturity and insurance and overall the real need to have to drive places. How much is it really necessary right now for him? So yeah, but he'll definitely learn how to drive before he's 30, I'm sure, and he'll get out there.
It's just I think for me, it was different because in '96 there was no cell phones and internet usage wasn't very widespread.
Yeah.
If I wanted to go on dates or see friends or talk to friends reasonably, it had to either be through a landline phone or I had to go actually physically see them.
Right.
And that's not true these days. It's just not.
No, it's not true.
So I mean, yeah, that need you mentioned. How much do you really need to drive has dropped a lot. I think is one of the things. Yeah. So I think it'd be wise to wait. A lot of people have waited on. Crystal waited a while to get her license, but I got it. I was like 16 in a day, and I had it. So there you go. But then again,
you're still here.
I'm still here. I survived. I don't know how. Not only did I survive, but the very first truck I owned survived for 10 years.
Wow.
I mean, I can't fathom that. I don't know how it made it.
So you still own it then?
No, I do not own it. I lost it in 2006, actually. It finally got totaled in an accident that was not my fault. Lady pulled out in front of me. She had a blinking red. Pulled out in front of me, totaled the vehicle. So I do not own it anymore. But, that car has lasted, that truck lasted longer than every other vehicle I've had since combined. So, just
how long have you known Crystal?
I've known Crystal Crystal and I have been together for, now is a total of 14 years. So okay. For a while in our relationship, I would constantly rib her that the truck was the longest relationship I've had. For most of the relationship, it's true. The first 9 years, it was true, but now it's not. I can't make that claim anymore. But yeah, I really did weep when I lost that truck. I missed it. It was an Isuzu pickup, and what I loved about it was such a simple vehicle. There was like 4 parts in the front engine, and you could literally strip the entire bodywork off with one socket and one Phillips head screwdriver. That's all you needed. And I know I've done it. But so yeah, it was a great truck, and I miss it. But oh well, onward and upward, as they say. It's going on to a better life as scrap metal. Maybe it's been recycled into something wonderful, like a Ferrari or something. Who knows? Well, enough lamenting, Patrick. Do you want to get on to some copyright news and get through this podcast?
Yeah.
All right. Well, this first story I think might win the title of most predictable story of the year, especially considering what we talked about last week. The headline on the Hollywood Reporter simply reads, Fox loses latest bid to halt Dish's place-shifting technology. Now, the battle between Fox and the broadcasters and Dish Network actually goes back further than this lawsuit. It starts with Dish Network's Hopper DVR, which allows you to which basically removes commercials from what you record. You don't get commercials, you automatically skip them, and it becomes like a Netflix-like experience when you go to watch television. Mm-hmm. Fox and other broadcasters sued, claiming it was a copyright infringement. They sought an injunction against it. They failed to get an injunction at the lower court, failed to get it again in the higher court. They kicked it back down to the lower court. That lawsuit is still ongoing. But then Dish Network introduced the Dish Anywhere DVR, which not only includes Hopper, but Slingbox, which we talked about a few times. It's basically a technology that allows you to take the allow you to take the content on your DVR and stream it over the interwebs to any relevant device. It could be your phone, it could be your computer, it could be anything. They sued again over that in a separate lawsuit, saying this raised separate issues. Once again, failed to get an injunction in the lower court, and now have failed to get an injunction in the Ninth Circuit. And we talked last week how the Ninth Circuit really did not seem to buy their argument, so this result really is not surprising at all.
Yeah, I get it's not surprising, I guess, but it also wasn't surprising that they raised it. Raised the issue and tried to get the court to look at it a different way in the light of Aereo. And, yeah, I'm glad it didn't work, I guess, and it makes sense that it didn't work. Dish pays retransmission or transmission fees, broadcast fees, or whatever you want to call them, and it was a different case. It was structurally different how Aereo works, how Dish works, and it all hinges on the fees, because that was what was used against Aereo. That was the biggest thing used against Aereo, was that they should be paying fees for the service they provide, and that their lack of fees represented a loss of revenue for the broadcasters and impacted the value of the licenses to other broadcasters. I mean, other people who transmit the broadcast. So people who pay them might stop paying them. So then Fox tried to apply that standard to a company that is paying them, and it didn't work.
Yeah, Fox has made the argument that the technology of Dish Anywhere DVR was pretty much the same as Aereo, which is kind of a weird thing to say, because Aereo was a remote TV streaming service with antennas and giant warehouses. This is a DVR that sits on top of your TV. You know, and
then we can go back to the question of Aereo becoming a technology company more so than a streaming company. If they were to, sell a box you put on your TV, how would that structurally change the argument? And it could change the argument, and Aereo's working towards some other solution at this point. We'll talk about that later in the show. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting to see the argument, because that's the other difference, is that Aereo is a service like co-locating a server, where you have your server at someone else's warehouse and you pay for that server. That's the argument Aereo was trying to make, that people were essentially owning an antenna or leasing an antenna from them. But in the end, the court didn't see it as an acceptable argument.
Yeah, and in the end, it was a pretty clear shutdown of that argument here. And it was an attempt, I think many would say, to try to expand the Aereo ruling to apply to other services, and it failed. And that seems to be in line with what the Supreme Court said. The Supreme Court tried to say in its ruling that it was a very narrow ruling. It applied to Aereo, not to other technology, not before us, etc., etc., etc. And, of course, the Supreme Court doesn't really get to say that. They can say it all they want. Doesn't make it true until the lower courts, accept and buy it.
Right.
And here, at least one of the lower courts, in this case an appellate court, is accepting and buying that, and we move forward.
Yep.
So, yeah, it's an interesting ruling, completely predictable, but, what are you going to say? Well, speaking of predictable moves and predictable actions here, Marvel has decided it doesn't want the Supreme Court to hear the Jack Kirby case. Try to wrap this one. Try to do the overview on this one. Jack Kirby, of course, is a famous comic book author. Created a bunch of well-known characters, including Spider-Man, X-Men, The Incredible Hulk, Mighty Thor. Several of the Avengers. Very important with the upcoming Avengers movie. Mm-hmm. And his estate is trying to basically terminate the copyright agreements between the Jack Kirby made with Marvel, saying that these were licenses, and under copyright law we have the right to terminate them and reclaim those rights. Well, those rights cannot be terminated if the work was created for hire. That enters a whole new section of copyright law, and also a little bit of employment law. And the basics of it is that Marvel has always said it was a work for hire. Jack Kirby goes, yes it was, yes it was. And so far, every court seems to have sided with Marvel, in this case, Marvel/Disney, because Disney now owns Marvel.
Yeah.
The result of that is the Jack Kirby estate filed an appeal with the Supreme Court, and a bunch of other people, including a former U.S. Register of Copyrights, that, you know, former director of the Patent and Trademark Office and several guilds in Hollywood all filed petitions encouraging the Supreme Court to take the case, saying there are several key issues here that you need to rule on. Please take it and offer your valued and esteemed opinion. And now Marvel has finally filed its pleading in this matter, and it of course is saying, no, please don't take the case. We don't want you to. There's no reason for you to. There's no circuit split, no constitutional issues here, nothing for you to look at, nothing to see, nothing to do. Just turn it down and reject it without a verdict, which would definitely behoove Marvel in this case. So, not really, once again, unexpected, but still an important step in this case.
Yeah, and you know, their arguments seem pretty convincing. Of course they do. Of course they do. But you know, there is a reason that it hasn't gone well so far for Kirby's heirs, and I don't know that a review at the Supreme Court level will change that. And I don't know. You know, I don't see the division here that existed with Aereo as much, and there wasn't really division with Aereo as much as with quote-unquote similar Film on X. Yeah. Air quotes to the maximum, air quotes, similar Film on X who lost some court battles. And so there was a comparable service that was, you know, pretty unsuccessful. So there was a matter of dispute. And this doesn't seem to, that doesn't really seem to exist in this case. It doesn't seem to exist in similar cases as much. For the most part, the quote-unquote big evil companies have been winning these cases.
And another interesting thing with the Aereo case in that comparison is that Aereo, even though they were the victors up to that point, because it was the Second Circuit case that made it to the Supreme Court, they also asked the Supreme Court to take the case, even though technically there was the very real risk the Supreme Court could overturn the rulings in their favor, which the Supreme Court did. Yeah. Aereo was tired of being sued in every district they set up shop, and they wanted one unified ruling. Yeah. To deal with it all. So it made sense for them to come forward and say, yes, please do take it. Let's settle this. You know, it's basically the two guys on the beach saying, let's settle this once and for all. Draw your sword. Yeah. It was at that moment, and then Aereo got its head chopped off.
Yeah, that's a great point.
So that happened in the Aereo case. Well, not happening here, and I think the fact that Marvel isn't wanting this fight to play on the Supreme Court is definitely a strike against the Supreme Court actually taking it. But that being said, there are similar cases out there. There's no real circuit split because there's only one or two other major cases out there that have reached any kind of circuit level. But I still think there's a very real possibility the Supreme Court might want to hear this just because of the seriousness of the issue and how much potential copyright there is for other cases to be impacted by this ruling. So,
and let's be real. I'm sure the Supreme Court is. I don't want to put this in a bad way, is more likely to take a case that has such a massive news element to it, right? Absolutely. I mean, this being such a visible case, and I think the Air is doing a smart thing by involving not so much the WGA and organizations that you figured would side with them, but also people like the former director of the USPTO and the former Register of Copyrights, and doing things to generate interest and news and conversation about this story, because you've got the high-value properties, you've got the David versus Goliath aspect to it, you've got these well-spoken and respected people based upon their previous professions, and so even though they've lost, you've still got this element of intrigue to it. And again, you've got this newsworthiness to it. So I think they've done a good job of drumming up that interest. And it cannot hurt them
no, absolutely not.
To get their case taken up by the Supreme Court.
Absolutely not. It can't hurt them. The Supreme Court, of course, reads the news. They, of course, know what's going on. They know there's a lot of interest in this case. And so that also does heighten the possibility. If this were a case, a similar case dealing with a farmland dispute in Kansas, probably wouldn't get so much attention.
Right. Yeah. Unless they found.
I'm not trying to insult Kansas. I'm just making that up as I go.
Unless they dug up the gosh, I want to say Jimmy Noah's Ark. Yeah. Noah's Ark or Jimmy Hoffa. Similar.
Either or. Similar ideas.
Yeah.
The other thing about it is what Supreme Court justice wouldn't want to rule on the Incredible Hulk and Thor? I mean,
yeah,
there is certainly a cool element there as well. But you're right. This case has been, it has a narrative to it. You could easily see this being a Lifetime movie or something like that. The evil Marvel comics and like you said, the David to their Goliath, the heirs of the Jack Kirby estate, just wanting to get their rights back. You can just see the story, right?
Yeah, I mean, it represent a win.
Hail Mary play to the Supreme Court. It practically writes itself. I think Peter Griffin should direct. But yeah, so it's one of the. You're right. There is a narrative element to it, and it is very, very compelling, especially to the public. The public knows these characters. The public knows who Jack Kirby is. You don't have to be a comic book geek to know who Jack Kirby is.
Right.
So yeah, it's one of those cases that you could definitely see the Supreme Court taking, even if there is no, even if it's not really necessary. But then again, the Supreme Court only really the realistic element, though, is the Supreme Court only takes on an extreme minority of cases. It's in the single digits of the percent. I can't remember what it was, but it's low single digits. So the odds are still definitely against it, but it's got stronger odds than I think Marvel indicates, and stronger odds than maybe the case history to this point should indicate.
Yeah.
Well, from one group of fictional characters to another fictional character. Did you ever see Ted, by the way?
I did.
Okay, I didn't get it. I didn't find it as great as some other Seth MacFarlane's stuff, but that's just me. But anyways, Seth MacFarlane, or I should say technically his production company, is being, along with Universal Pictures and Media Rights Capital, are being sued by Bengal Mangle Productions. According to Bengal Mangle, Ted is a copyright infringement on 2 web series that they created, Charlie the Abusive Teddy and Acting School Academy. Basically, that they allege those series, which were in 2009-2010, formed the basis for Ted. And not only does the main character look and act the same, they're in the same setting, but they also allege that there are several specific scenes which are virtually identical between the two. So this is a little bit more than the average lawsuit of, hey, they plagiarized my idea, give me money, than we see a lot of, it seems.
It's a little bit more than the average bear, is what you said. That's an opportunity you'll never get back. No.
Dang it!
No. Did you actually watch any of these clips of Charlie the Abusive Teddy Bear?
No, I did not actually. I didn't get a chance to. This story today.
Let's see. For people who are watching this stream or might watch this video later, let me just share my screen real quick here. I'm not going to play anything, but just there we go. So if you see my picture, that's Charlie the Abusive Teddy Bear, and I guess I won't play the video because it won't be on the recording. But the thing about this is that if you were to watch the video, I suspect that a lot of people would not find this to be similar. And the reason I say that is just because I did see Ted, and now I've seen a couple clips of Charlie the Abusive Teddy Bear. And if I had seen that on either end of it, whether I saw Ted first or the bear first, I would have not made that connection because they're just different. And, there are examples even, showing a woman all the lewd acts he wants to perform with her, using violence to get his point across, talking to Norah Jones about their sexual history and making fat jokes even when his life is in danger. I wasn't sure if they are both have talked to Norah Jones. Like, did Charlie the Abusive Teddy Bear talk to Norah Jones? I actually Googled that and didn't find anything. Doesn't mean it's not out there. But it just feels like one of those cases where, okay, we both had the idea for a crude teddy bear. Well, how much are we really going to be able to protect with the crude teddy bear idea? I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
And what was me about this lawsuit, and the reason I didn't watch the clips was my thought kind of went a different direction with it. Really trying to remember the site. There was a web series that featured Cuddles the bear, and basically it was based upon Snuggles the bear. Remember for the fabric softener. I don't remember which brand of fabric. God, that's terrible advertising if I can't remember the fabric softener. But basically, featured a character like that.
I think it's Downey, but I'm just guessing.
It might be Downey. I honest to God do not remember. But basically featured him as, you know.
No, we're both idiots. We're both idiots. It's the fabric softener is also called Snuggle.
Oh, it is.
so it Snuggles the bear for Snuggle.
Wow. Okay, now I know. Knowing is half the battle.
Yeah, he snuggled the fabric softener bear, so we're both kind of dumb. But all right, go ahead.
But anyways, featured a character like that, but like behind the scenes talking to his therapist. He's hard drinking, hard smoking.
Yeah.
He's an asshole, to put it as politely as I can. Real mean character. And so I remember that from, like, I want to say the early 2000s to late 90s. And then Robot Chicken had the famous bit with Cuddles, the fabric softener bear. Even though that one wasn't quite the exact same, it was a little bit different. But, you know, if I'm remembering it correctly. So you've had other bad bear bits way before this one, too. You know?
Yeah. I mean, they're just trying to make the case it's a bear that smokes and drinks and curses and has a lot of innuendo and, you know, I don't know what, yeah. It doesn't seem like they should, I don't know, it doesn't seem like they have a case with a limited amount of stuff I saw in my unqualified opinion. So. Yeah,
it doesn't strike it to me. And one thing I found very bizarre about this article, and, you know, play along at home if you want to understand. Bangle Mangle Productions filed the suit Tuesday in state court in Los Angeles. What's wrong with that sentence?
State court in Los Angeles.
No, the sentence isn't incorrect. It's their action that's incorrect.
Filed the suit.
They're filing a copyright lawsuit in state court.
Yeah.
Copyright is a federal law. To my knowledge, you can't. And if they're making a copyright claim, which they seem to be, you can't file in state court. I mean, basically, the copyright, if they're making a contract claim or a misappropriation claim, it's going to get preempted by a copyright claim, which is federal, and it's just going to go right back to federal court. I mean, this is insanity.
Yeah.
You don't make copyright or copyright-like claims in state court. You're going to have a bad time. So... yeah.
What about pre-1972 recordings, Jonathan?
Okay, now shut up.
See, even my limited knowledge still has something once in a while. Something pops up.
I know. I didn't want to throw it out there, but I don't really think a 2012 movie qualifies.
Yeah, I'm sure it's relevant in some way. And don't forget the baddest bear of all, Naughty Bear.
Oh yes, of course.
From the video game. He doesn't. No. I don't think he smokes. I don't know if he drinks, but he's definitely bad.
Definitely very naughty. He hatchets people with an axe, so yeah, that's pretty bad.
And IP Guy's listening in the chat room. Well,
hey, IP Guy.
So yeah, Seth MacFarlane, I think your fortune is safe, but we'll see.
We will see. We'll follow it, but it's just the thing I find interesting about it is that at least we have a web series to compare it to. It's not like those usual. Oh yeah, they totally stole my song idea. Well, how'd they find out about it? Oh, I sent them a mixtape, years ago or something like that. At least we have a plausible...
The email bounced, but they still got it, I know.
At least we have a plausible, chain of how it might have been seen. At least we've fixed one problem that's common with these lawsuits, but created about a million others. Well, in other copyright news this week, Greenpeace is at the center of something of a copyright battle. Over the past week or so, they published a video called "Everything Is Not Awesome." Now, have you seen the Lego Movie?
I have not seen the Lego Movie.
Okay,
I've seen Everything Is Awesome, the video feature, which because it had the Lonely Island in it, so I had to watch it.
Yeah, it's basically the "Let It Go" of the Lego Movie. It's the song that got all the airplay and all the attention, and
everything is awesome.
Everything
is cool when you're part of a team.
I've got to say this. Let It Go, Everything Is Awesome. I never found either of those songs really catchy. Everyone's like, I can't get Let It Go out of my head. I'm like, really? I've listened to it like 5 times. I had no problems.
Yeah.
You know, I did my best to join the cult to let it go. It just didn't work. Yeah. Maybe I'm immune. Maybe I have an immunity thing or something against it. It just didn't work. But anyways, so it didn't really stuck in my head either. But anyways, well, Greenpeace did their own, I guess you would call it, parody or commentary on it. I was not aware of this, but apparently Lego has some kind of partnership with Shell Oil. Mm-hmm. Greenpeace is protesting, so they produced a 1.5 minute long plus video. It basically shows a Shell Oil platform polluting a Lego Arctic scene. Mm-hmm. And me playing in the background is sort of their cover of Everything is Awesome. It's a very slow, very drab and depressing version of the song, which is kind of hard to imagine, but just try. Mm-hmm. And the result of that is Warner Brothers, which owns the rights to the movie and to the song, ended up ordering it taken down. Now I'm noticing that it is back up. The video works again. Mm-hmm. So I'm assuming it was restored one way or another. But the 10 days for the restoration for a DMCA restoration are not up yet. For the record, it's happened this week, so we're not out of those woods. But yeah, they basically encouraged all of their followers and members to post it everywhere they could, and long and short of it, try to spam it out there as much as possible. They also had a version on Vimeo that stayed live through the downtime.
Yeah, so Greenpeace is using Lego to get at Shell, and I don't know how I feel about it. I mean, I guess all's fair in this age, and all's fair in love and war, so I can see it. I mean, the big companies do bad things sometimes, so I think if you were to limit Lego brand mentions to just companies that have never done anything bad ever, you would have no brand tie-ins with Lego. So, I don't know, I get it, it's a play, I've read a little bit more about this, and it's a play really tied to Shell's plans to drill in the Arctic, and which, you know, are not going so well from what I'm reading here at Time, so that's not a foregone conclusion of what happened, but that's sort of the motivation here, and it shows a Lego set that's slowly engulfed in oil. And yeah, oil spills are awful. You know, I'm not saying I
Tell me about it as a New Orleanian.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying I love oil companies or gas companies or something like that. But gas companies are a part of our world, and that's our own fault as much as anyone else's. So I don't know. But I will say that as far as the video goes, I mean, it seems like criticism. It seems like very used criticism, and so having it taken down, whether that was automated, intern, or high-level decision, certainly has a Streisand effect on it and gives it a new news story to push out there that they shut it down. It would have already been a big story on its own, but I think that just helps it even more, and at the end of the day backfires in a case where they probably legally shouldn't be doing that.
Well, here's the thing. I don't believe Warner Brothers got a call from Shell, and Shell's like, you got to take down that video.
No, I don't either.
Okay, we'll do it. I don't think it was anything like that. I think it was probably either a mistake. And the mistake would explain why it's back up so relatively quickly.
Right.
It was either a mistake, or it was automated, as you pointed out, or something else went wrong that caused it to get taken down. You know. And so that seems much more likely to me, but it did get this video a lot more attention. Now, it did have 3 million views on YouTube before it was taken down, and I'm checking again. Those views have been reserved. It's now up to 4.43 million and some change. Mm-hmm. So those views were preserved. It's still plugging along, attracting the views, and you know, it definitely was bad for Greenpeace. It definitely wasn't a good thing to have happen. But the flip side of the coin is it got the video and the message of significantly more attention when it did happen. So, that being said,
yeah,
you know, I don't think this is a major offense, and I don't think this is some kind of giant corporate conspiracy. I don't think, like I said, Shell called up their buddies at Warner to ask for a favor. Hey, we'll give you free oil.
I don't think that's the case.
Oil, free gas.
Shell doesn't even have buddies at Warner.
I'm sure, like, you know, all big businesses, they know people, but
yeah, they all meet in the Illuminati headquarters.
Exactly. They're the one that Weird Al's ranting about in the foil video.
Yeah, they're having a meeting right now with Jay-Z. So, yeah, it would owe to be a fly on the wall.
Yeah. But long and short of it is, this was most likely a mistake that ended up in a weird way playing in the Greenpeace's favor a little bit. and still a bad thing. Still should not have happened, but hopefully it's something everyone can move on from. Well, next up we are talking about SoundCloud. Now, this story interests me because of the way it's been portrayed. According to this article on Bloomberg, SoundCloud is apparently close to striking a deal with the record labels in order to be able to license to stream their music on SoundCloud service. And part of the exchange is that SoundCloud is going to give between 3 and 5% to the 3 major record labels, Universal, Sony, and Warner, and also pay a per-song fee for streaming the songs, basically to avoid any legal troubles for having the music on the site. I think this could potentially be a great thing for SoundCloud.
I think it's a great thing for labels, and I'll tell you why. Because I kind of don't like this. Okay, I'm a regular SoundCloud user.
Okay,
and I have friends in the music industry that work at major labels, and those labels use SoundCloud. And SoundCloud isn't like YouTube in the olden days. Like, their most popular clips aren't Family Guy. Their most popular stuff on SoundCloud.
Show?
Yeah, the most popular stuff on SoundCloud is work uploaded by the person who has permission to upload it. There isn't really a strong culture of piracy. There's a culture of remixing, yes. But as far as like taking a retail song, you'll find some if you go looking, maybe. You'll find some if you go looking. But there's not that culture of piracy. And the fact is that the music industry has far and away bought into SoundCloud. And artists, labels, tons of people use SoundCloud and pay for pro accounts with SoundCloud to use their service as a promotional vehicle. So, you know, I get it, but it seems to me like I don't like that. I don't like that double dealing sort of thing here, where these labels and their subsidiaries willingly take advantage of SoundCloud's promotional vehicle only to one day hit them up for cash. You know, it's a little unseemly to me. It's a little unseemly. They'll get the deal. SoundCloud will, you know, hopefully SoundCloud gets more successful. But, you know, it's a little weird to me that you have all these labels buying in. It's not the same as it was YouTube pre-Google, where you had a lot of people who weren't using YouTube. You know, you'd be hard-pressed in some cases to find artists who are not using SoundCloud, popular artists these days, or their labels in some way or another. So, I mean, is that the music industry play here? Find a service that's cool, let's use it, and then let's one day hit them up for cash for streaming our audio. What I would like to see is that they don't get paid for stuff on their own channels. That would be innovation. That would be interesting, since they're already using it and getting nothing. That's my 2 cents.
So you're saying that they shouldn't get paid for things that are uploaded to the artist's own channels?
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying that. No, I'm not. So here's the thing. I'm not saying that 100%, but I think that's what's happening now. Like, they're uploading stuff by their own, so now they want to get paid for uploading stuff on their own. They're already seeing the benefit of it. They're already doing it. Music industry isn't a charity. They hate people who steal their money, or in their own words. And so, you know, it's weird to me that they upload all their stuff, and now they're saying, hey, pay us for it. You didn't have to be paid for it yesterday. What was the point of this? So that's odd to me. I don't know. That makes me a little uncomfortable. But they're going to get paid on this. They're going to get paid for streams. That's how the deal's going to work out. They're going to get equity in SoundCloud. And the music industry will get a little richer off SoundCloud. But I do feel it's a weird kind of conflict of interest sort of thing when you can beef up a service and upload your works that you're legally able to upload, and then, you know, hit them up for cash later with, let's see, the cloud of legal dispute, the cloud of lawsuits hanging over your head. It's, you know, it's kind of weird to me, and I think it hurts innovation. That's my opinion.
Yeah, you know what's interesting, though? This type of taking a stake in a company is not a new thing. They've been doing it for a while. And, in fact, one of the biggest deals they did recently was, remember back when Beats Music was launched?
Uh-huh.
Well, as part of that, Universal, one of the big 3 record labels, took a 14% stake in the company.
They took a stake. Go ahead.
A few months later, when Apple bought it, that stake became worth almost $450 million.
Right.
In just a few months.
Right.
So,
not the same comparison, right? Because I mean, companies take stakes in other companies all the time. There is no Spotify until you put your music up on and get paid for the streams. That's just the basic of that service. Same for Beats. I mean, people opt into the service, and maybe as part of that they negotiate for a stake. These companies willingly use SoundCloud for free without being paid for a long time, mind you. Not a couple weeks. We're talking about a long time. A year, 2 years. And now they're turning around asking for money. And I get it, but it's different. That's all I'm saying.
Well, it does have some potential benefits for SoundCloud. One is that they'll have access to the record label music not expressly uploaded to the service.
Yes,
that's one.
Is a good benefit.
That will be a big benefit. That will greatly reduce the DMCA takedown and the other legal issues that they've been having lately.
Yep.
And I remember we discussed previously, or there were articles previously about how SoundCloud was offering back-end access to record labels to head off these types of issues and also sort of, limit their own involvement in that process. So that will also help, and it also provides greater legal certainty too.
Yep.
We're not going to face
wink, nod, lawsuit. I did my reference.
Yeah. So, I mean, in the end, I think it will be a good thing for SoundCloud, but, I mean, I understand your concerns, too. It is kind of weird that the record labels, or at least certain artists or certain labels, do make use of SoundCloud, and then the big three come around and want a piece of the action. I would be interested to see who approached who and how and why. I think there's a history of these negotiations we don't know, and it'd be very fascinating to learn about.
Yeah.
Because for all we know,
sorry, go ahead.
So for all we know, SoundCloud could have approached the labels and said, "Hey, look, can we stop this DMCA stuff? We'll give you a stake if you just give us a license."
Somehow I just don't see that. I just don't. I don't know why. I just see more like, well, we might be able to sue you. We might have to put an end to this. I don't know, but you're right. We do not know. And to be fair, it could have been something SoundCloud initiated. SoundCloud, you're hearing more and more of SoundCloud actually making people stars, kind of like MySpace did for a while back in the day. There are artists who are building huge followings thanks to SoundCloud and either going independent or signing with a major label. So SoundCloud's hot right now, and SoundCloud has a great service, and I think they've offered something that I think a lot of people would wanted for a long time, which was a way to share music that's economical, that is beautiful, that works, that streams well, that embeds everywhere, and the whole process is all very seamless, and it's a great function. A website that's not layered by ads, that's not cluttered. So I really think they've done a great job, and they've built whatever revenue they have based on the subscription model, where most people who use it regularly pay a small fee to have a pro account. And anyone who uploads seriously has a pro account. So yeah, I mean, I look at my likes on my SoundCloud profile. I just have 18 there, but we got Guy Gerber, who's a super well-known electronic producer. Wrap Up online publication. They use it for songs they debut on their website. So you got a song by Mace here, the rapper, that they premiere on their website, and of course they have Mace's permission and probably the permission of the people to upload it. We the Best Music, that's a label. Asher Roth, the rapper. October's very own Drake. All these stuff. DJ Cassidy. Most of this stuff here is from official channels. There are a couple remixes, and I think that's an interesting question here in the future, because I think SoundCloud does have a strong remix culture, and I would say at best remixes are a murky area. At worst, they're copyright infringement. So it's tough, and we'll see if this kind of stunts the creativity. I think the worst thing that could happen is if labels exercise some greater power to shut down a lot of remixes in a blanket fashion. I think that's would have negative consequences to them and to their revenue stream. So hopefully it doesn't turn out to be something that stunts creativity on SoundCloud by up-and-coming producers.
I would agree with that. And I don't think the record labels would be likely to do that, because getting too hard and heavy with remixes really risks opening up a can of worms when it comes to sampling. And that's a fight record labels are not too eager to jump into. They're going to do some caution. So, yeah, I understand your viewpoint. My hope is that everyone will walk away from this better off, but yeah, that's always I hope everyone gets screwed and everyone gets bent and dies.
World peace and daisies.
That's what I'm hoping for. So yeah, moving on, and we've touched on Aereo a couple of times previously, but now we're coming back to it again. Aereo is making the argument that is basically following in a film-on suit, and is now claiming that since the Supreme Court has said that it is functioning like a cable company, that it in fact is a cable company and is owed a statutory license to do so, and therefore they are going to request that the broadcasters give them a license to function. If not, they'll probably petition the Copyright Office and try to get the statutory license them.
Yeah,
So,
I think this is, we talked about Aereo having cash on hand, and so it makes sense. I think it's fair to point out that they definitely told everyone that they were not a cable company, and now they want to be one. I think that's fair to point that out, and to use it to criticize them. On the other hand, I think it's, important to recognize that they are moving on to a plan B. They lost their case. They're not trying to fight that anymore. There's nothing to fight. Their argument failed. And so rather than trying to belabor that, they're now trying to switch to a plan B, which in this case is to become a cable company. And as we discussed, I think it was last episode, I think it's important for our FCC, for government, for these companies to provide a clear pathway to become a cable company. Otherwise, it harms innovation. And television is a space that's being innovated on constantly by people who are not the broadcasters. So I think if they want to become a cable company, let's make sure that they can become one. And maybe they're not ready now, but how do they get ready? So I think it's on our governing bodies and the people who determine who should receive that compulsory licensing, and to make that clear. And I hope they do.
Yeah, and that's the thing for me. When we talked about this exact same argument with Film On,
Right.
I made the point that just because you function like something doesn't make you something.
Right.
Just because, and I think the example I used was my home brewing. If I brew more than X amount of beer, I am functioning like a brewery, so I can be fined. But that doesn't necessarily make me a brewery, so I can't just run out and get the licenses. Film On, from what I understand, is not necessarily in the best of positions to pivot itself to become a cable company and meet whatever qualifications it needs to.
Yep.
Aereo might be.
Aereo is certainly better off organizationally, and they have more cash.
They have more cash, better organization, more professional, as we keep making fun of Film On's.
Plus, please also don't forget. I mean, they're being backed by Barry Diller mostly here, and that's he. Let's see. His Wikipedia page says he is the media executive responsible for the creation of Fox Broadcasting and USA Broadcasting. So, I mean, if someone knows what a cable company is, I think Barry Diller has a clue.
Yeah, he might actually have an idea.
Yeah, he might have an idea or two. So I think they're in a good position, and hopefully, like I said, I think Aereo is an interesting service if they can, if they can become a legitimate service and everyone can make money, that would be good. Hopefully, the industry doesn't squeeze them like Pandora.
They can't.
Yeah, if everything goes well here and they get the compulsory licensing, yes. If they have to go to some Plan C where they negotiate directly, I guess we'll see.
Yeah, that's Plan B would not involve that. There would be a compulsory license that's written into the law so we know the royalty rates can't be higher than X at that point. The royalty rates are set by the law.
Right.
But if they don't qualify for those, then you're right, we move to a Plan C where they have to negotiate directly. And as you might imagine, they probably haven't made a lot of friends with broadcasters.
Right.
So they've got an uphill battle with that.
Yeah, but you never know. I mean, people who are enemies one day can be friends the next if there's money in hand.
Yeah, and
Diller has some connections.
And look at what happened with Napster, the brand. It eventually was transitioned to a legitimate service.
And there's an article authored by Emma Woollacott, one of the authors who you recently praised for covering copyright well on plagiarismtoday.com. She also notes a Plan C. It suggests, and so my plan might be D, but Plan C, it suggests in yesterday's letter that even if its claim to effectively be a cable company is rejected, then it could still function legally by streaming programs after transmission or time shifting. Any injunction, it says, applies only to, quote, near simultaneous, unquote, rebroadcasting. Watch this space. So that could be the next step here. If they can't become a cable company, then they would become maybe more of a DVR, it sounds like.
Yeah, more of just a recording service rather than... Now, here's the thing. Plan B, and I guess Plan C or D, depending on how you want to call it, involves an Aereo price increase. Do you think Aereo is going to be as appealing if it has to leave that $8 or $9 price range?
I think it depends how far it has to leave it.
Obviously,
I think
if it goes to 100, then we're all screwed.
If they push it to what it costs to get cable, then no. I mean, it's not going to be all that appealing. I think Aereo might be in a position to offer a more technically savvy service than many cable companies around the country, but it's not going to be enough to get people to switch off. Now, if they can keep it, I don't know, within 100% increase, let's say, because they're at, what, 8 you said?
I think it was $8 a month was the normal.
So if it's 8 and they can keep it to 16 or less, let's say. I mean, I think they could keep people at like $14.99. I think they could keep people at $9.99, $11.99. I mean, I think there's a market there for people who want local channels and want it to be streamed in a convenient way. But if they have to get up to $20-$30, I mean, no, I don't think they're going to be able to.
Yeah, because at that point, a cheap cable package becomes cheaper.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, it just becomes too close to that cable package, so I don't think they will be in a good position there.
And that way, you get broadcast channels and other cool stuff. At least some other things. That'd be a basic cable package, but you get some stuff, you know?
Because you have to, I mean, some people are going to start piecing it together in their mind, too, as far as having an antenna, you know, and what they could just buy on their own. Not a lot of people, because I think Aereo's main benefit is that it's just simple and convenient. You pay, you get. You don't have to buy equipment and set it up in your home. But then again, if it starts to get up in the price, then you compete with the technology itself for some people.
It's like Dollar Shave Club. I know I'm paying a little more for my blades, but the convenience of having them mailed to me and not having to remind myself to go get them when I run out is nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I pay a small premium for that, and I'm comfortable with that. Final story this week deals with fake Oscars. We actually talked about the story previously, and about the tale of one very, very, very regretful Jaime de la Rosa. I think I would say it.
Yeah, better Jamie.
Yeah, I can't tell if it's Jaime. We'll just say Jamie because I can say it more comfortably. But Jaime de la Rosa, who was manufacturing or at least selling, it's a bit unclear from this article. This is by Eric Gardner of the Hollywood Reporter. Another one of the names in that article they referenced. But he was either manufacturing, possibly manufacturing, but definitely selling fake Oscar statuettes, the famous man standing very ominously, you know, like that, statuettes. Now, he was making it clear that they were replicas. He wasn't, supposedly he was selling them as replica statuettes, and I don't think anyone would believe that you could buy a real one for a couple $100 anyways. But separate issue. Well, he was apparently when the the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences, or AMPAS, as the acronym goes, initially approached him about it. He agreed to stop doing it and agreed to send them his entire inventory. And if I recall, he sent them like one statue and said, "It's the last one I've got left. These are the ones I sold. I'm out of the business." And then they caught him selling more on eBay. So they pressed forward with their copyright and trademark infringement lawsuit. He did not really provide much of a defense against it.
Yeah.
As a result, AMPAS received a judgment against him, and they took it, according to this article in the Hollywood Reporter, they took it pretty easy on him, it's safe to say. They had him on the hook for almost like 9 statuettes. They could have requested $150,000 for infringement, but they requested $75,000 for everything on the copyright side, and another $300,000 for the misuse of the trademark, totaling $375,000. To which I say, as a man of ordinary means, that's still bankrupting me.
Yeah, that's a lot of money. I don't know. We're hearing these were sold for a few $100s each.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I get the idea of wanting to penalize the guy. I mean, unless he's somehow independently wealthy, $375,000 is a lot. I mean, you could still probably penalize the average citizen if you hit him with $75,000. That would probably.
That's more than a modest house. I mean.
Yeah, a lot of people wouldn't. I mean, I don't know. Most people, probably majority of people in this country don't have that much money in the bank. No. So it's, I don't know. I mean, I don't want to. I think it's. I hope they don't parade around acting like they've done that, the world of charity. That's all. You don't want to have that tone, because I think it's based upon income levels. If you were suing George Clooney, maybe $375,000 is not a big deal, but to the average American, $375,000 is everything. So let's not act like we did some huge favor because we didn't take him for $1.5 million instead of $375,000. Because to the average person, those figures are the same. They have neither.
Yeah, neither's getting paid.
It's just a matter of how big the debt is. So yeah, no, this guy did something he shouldn't have done. There's no doubt about that. And
he was dumb. There was after a warning.
Yeah, and there's a price to pay for that, certainly. And he's gonna have to pay it in one form or another, whether it corrects his credit or he somehow has this money.
Well, I'm reminded of an incident that happened not long after I moved into this house.
Yeah.
I opened my water bill up one day, and it was for $10,000.
Okay.
And I'm like, I cannot pay $10,000. I mean, there's just no way. And it turns out it was a pretty minor ordeal. They had a new guy running around reading the meters, and he transposed the two numbers. Right. And as there was there's apparently two separate numbers, transposed them, and I got hit with a $10,000 water bill. So they told me just pay your regular amount, estimate it, get it in the ballpark, pay that, and we'll have it corrected on your next bill. And they did, and that was the end of it. But still, I remember thinking, it doesn't matter if this bill says 10,000 or 100,000 or $1 million, you're getting the exact same amount out of me.
$10. No, it's like, it's funny. They were probably waiting, like, maybe he'll just pay it. You know, maybe he's rich. Maybe he's just living by simple means, and he's just trying to be like Warren Buffett. He drives an old car. He stays in the house. Maybe he has the money, and he'll just pay it. Fingers crossed, fingers crossed. And then the phone rang, and they're like, damn.
That's how they're trying to solve the debt problem in New Orleans.
It was worth a try. IP Guy says in the chat the sculptor should make a counteroffer settlement, which I guess is possible, right? Because there's a difference between the judgment on the books and the judgment they'll accept in some cases. I mean, the music industry has done that before, where they want to get the biggest judgment possible. I mean, they want to screw people to the wall for millions of dollars just to have that on the books. But to get it cleared, they will sometimes take a lot less. And they've offered Jamie Thomas Rassett.
Yeah, that was looking at and she just refused to take it. I mean.
Yeah. So there could be something like that, maybe.
Yeah, there could still be something like that, but yeah, it's $375,000, $1.5 million, $15 million, $150 million. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Doesn't really impact me. It's all about the same. You can demand all you want. I know what you're getting, and it's a lot less. Sorry.
Yeah.
Well, I'm out of copyright news. You got any final thoughts? Anything else? Anything I might have missed?
No, I think it was a lot of fun.
Oh, actually, real fast, one interesting copyright-related thing. Did you know that this album is actually Weird Al's last album on his record contract?
I heard that. Yeah, I don't know how long he said. 27 years?
30 years, I think.
32 years. 32, okay. Yeah, I mean, that's amazing. And he might change his strategy in releasing music, which makes sense.
He's tentatively said that right now he's thinking he's not retiring, A, but B is that he's going to switch to doing digital singles kind of as they come out, try to do the turnaround quicker so that, he's not parodying songs from one summer ago. Yeah. So that's interesting. Or maybe he'll find that, he wants something. It might just have a totally different deal with a major, that's all. Where he has more freedom to do what he wants. Exactly. Just a distribution deal. Well, on that final thought, my name is Jonathan Bailey. I am from the website Plagiarism Today, which can be found at plagiarismtoday.com. You can find me at username Plagiarism Today, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, pretty much anywhere you can think of.
Thank you to IP Guy for joining us. Good to see you. And I'm Patrick O'Keefe. I blog at managingcommunities.com. You can find me on Twitter, Facebook, Google+, and LinkedIn as Patrick O'Keefe.
Well, on that note, thank you very much for joining us, and we will see you guys next week.